if you have a great offer, that's awesome, but leads is how businesses make money. At the end of the day, you need sales, which means you need leads, which means you have to have a consistent way of generating those leads. Now, there's really only 3 ways to get leads. The first way is sheer force. Okay, so sheer force. Now, what I mean by sheer force, this is how I started my business, is I had no following, I had no money, I had no experience in business, I just had a lot of time. And so what I did is I used sheer force by outreaching to strangers to buy my fitness services. That's how I started. Now, the numbers that you're gonna wanna know, if that's you, if that resonates, what you wanna start with is 100 DMs a day, usually 20 an hour, because if you go over 20 an hour, you're gonna get a spam block, okay? So 20-ish an hour. If you can only send 15, great, send 15. Alternate between Facebook and Instagram. Out of the 100 people you message, you're gonna get a 10 to 15% response rate. Now, if you're not getting that, your message is weird, right? And I actually have a link below to my free university school. You can see actual live messaging, okay? So if you need to see that, please click the link there. 10 to 15% reply, and then you get 10% to book a call. So in this scenario, let's say we had 15 people reply, you would book 1 call, okay? That'd be awesome. And then the goal is you would close a percentage of those individuals. Usually I say 1 out of 10 calls with cold traffic, but it could be a little bit better. The second way to do it, and this is what most gurus are gonna try to tell you is gonna work, is you can post on social. Now, this is the preferred way. Why? Because if I post this YouTube video and you like my content, you engage with it, you give me, thumbs up on the YouTube videos, you're leaving comments, you're going through my portals, my curriculum, you're building trust with me. So it's more likely later on that you're gonna buy, whether you plan on doing it or not. It's more likely because you have an affiliation with me, you have brand equity with me, or I have brand equity with you. So on social, the biggest issue here is if you post a piece of content and it goes viral, or you get a lot of likes, shares, comments, you can outreach to the likes, you can outreach to the comments, and you can outreach to the shares, okay? The issue with that is if you post a piece of content and you only get 2 likes, that's not really gonna work. So in a perfect scenario, the people you see make a lot of money. Sometimes it's not because they're good at business, unfortunately, and that's why you might have a bad experience. It's because they're good at getting traffic. This is the most expensive price in business, but having a large presence is really hard. That's why you guys see me working on it so hard now, because I know in the long-term of business, I want to do business for 20, 30, 40 years. I have to work on this. I have to actually master the game of social media, okay? So that is pillar number 2, but if you don't get a lot of likes, you got to go back to pillar number 1. And the reason most people don't want to do the first one of cold outreach or sheer force is it's hard. But I am here to tell you, it's hard to make $1 million, but anyone can do it. You just have to be willing to do the work. The last one is events. Now, I will use this as a caveat. It usually works better if you have some type of brand. So ClickFunnels actually had an event in Las Vegas last month called Funnel Hacking Live, because I've won a lot of awards from ClickFunnels. Every award you can think of, 1 million, 10 million, 115 million, etc. A lot of people at this event knew who I was. Now, what we did is while we were at the event, I had a few team members of mine, we would meet people and say, hey, come back to our room for a breakfast club. All right. At this breakfast club, we had 100 plus people show up, and we did over $300,000 in sales, because what I did is I went in, I told a 5-10 minute story about who I was, and a little bit about me in case someone didn't really know a lot. I did a Q&A for 3 to 5 hours. And then at the end, I did a small pitch. And because I gave value for so many hours, there were a lot of people who felt they wanted to work with me and my team on building their businesses. Those are the 3 ways. More than likely, most of you are going to have to start with sheer force. But if you have a great social media following, or you're great at content, use that to your advantage. A lot of the creators you envy or you look at, they're not rich because they're great at business. They're great at getting traffic. So Mr. Beast, while he's getting there and he's a young guy, he's better at content than he is at business. I'm better at business than I am at content. And if you can make both of those work together, you get little child called Alex Hormozi. Okay?